Hi, I'm Jesse. This is Lilly. This is our son Jonah. And we are Bricks of Happiness. And this is our bus.
Well, we didn't want to live in Arizona anymore. And we thought perhaps we would like to live in Oregon or Texas. But neither one of us had spent any time in either of those states. So we thought we would get an RV, travel around them, and see which one we liked best. We started shopping around for RVs and we couldn't really find anything that fit our lifestyle.
We liked. I wanted to tear them out and just redo everything, and I'm like, what's the point in that?
So I had seen a picture of a schoolie years prior with just a bed and a mattress on the floor, and I said, hey, why don't we get a school bus and then we can customize it and make it exactly what we want. He was not so on board at first, but
I was like, that's crazy.
No. I put a pen and paper in his hand, he started sketching different floor plans, and it was all downhill from there. Uphill.
Yeah,
uphill.
Not downhill at all.
It was all uphill from there.
Welcome to our bus. 40 feet long, 250-ish, maybe 300 square feet of living space. We absolutely love it. Come on in, check it out. This right here is our newest addition. We actually tore out our front end and remodeled it a couple months ago. Part of the reason we're also still not finished. We decided to put in a wood stove, which is from tinywoodstovs.com. tinywoodsstove.com, I believe. This is their Dwarf 5K. We haven't even had a chance to burn it yet, but we have enjoyed it in other people's rigs and know that we're absolutely going to love it. It will cook us out of here in the winter so we can park up snowboarding, sledding, playing in the cold environments and still stay warm, and more importantly than that, still stay nice and dry inside so there's no moisture issues. Being that I remodeled my front end, we installed ours a bit differently just so I didn't have to demo and rebuild a bunch of stuff. There was a seat here before, so I modified what used to be there and bolted the stove plate to that. It's also bolted to the floor and the wall. If I were to do it from fresh and just putting in a stove, I would build my hearth, you know, whatever piece you want to call it, right on my wheel well and bolt it straight to the frame and everything. I didn't have that choice without a lot more demo, so I chose to go a different route. But it's definitely secure. It's not a flying projectile. It's anchored with nice long grade 8 bolts all the way through, so it's good to go. Being that it's in a tiny home bus and there's lots of wood and flammable materials around, we do have to have heat shields. The Dwarf has the option that you can put the heat shields on the stove, but you do lose a little bit of heat. Plus we wanted, you know, kind of an area barrier around it that people weren't going to end up in or drop stuff into, that kind of thing. So we have just these aluminum heat shields that we made ourselves just from raw sheets. We have a video on that. I think it's on our Instagram, one of our favorite stories that shows how we did it. Super easy, way easier than I thought it was going to be. We actually did it in the Home Depot parking lot and partially at an RV park at a lake. It was fun. These are aluminum, they're actually raised gapped tiles from Home Depot that is on concrete board and then, you know, mounted underneath that so that you have a heat barrier all the way around, so we don't have to worry about pieces falling out and catching things on fire. This right here is also our box that we are able to keep our logs or coal or whatever it is that we decide that we're going to burn in it. And there's lots of options for that stove, so that's where that stuff will stay. This is our dead cat. Skitty Kitty, Kitty Kitty, Bus Panda. She goes by multiple names. She doesn't answer to any of them. She'll stretch occasionally. She holds the fort down. This is Jonah's area and part of our couch area. Just redid this. This is Jonah's table. It's actually our cutout for our sink from when we built it. We were hanging on to it for over a year. Weren't sure what we were going to do with it. Glad we held on to it. It mounts on a track on this wall, and so you can slide the table any way you want. You can also, it angles up and pulls off so that you can get it out of the way and make this all seating so people can just sit and hang out. So once the kids go to bed, adults can conversate, not getting eaten by mosquitoes. Jonah uses this as the dining area mostly. Once in a while, Lily will sit down and, you know, eat there. Usually I'm busy doing something or on the computer, or so I'll stand and eat or walk around or just sit here and hold it. This used to be my desk setup. You can see in our older posts there was a big cutout piece that my office chair sat here. Jonah had a seat where the stove is, and obviously we tore that out. So currently I just have kind of a standing desk, which works out great. This monitor moves all over. When we travel, I just set it down on the couch and it actually rides there really well. I've never had it even move, let alone fall off. Soon, I already have a different monitor set up, and I'm moving everything up front to the driver area. So my driver's seat will also be my desk. When I sit here to work, if I'm sitting, I'm in everybody's way. So anytime someone walks by, they're having to step over me. It's an inconvenience for both of us, let alone work. So I have a big ultra wide monitor that I'm putting up above the driver's window, and that's our TV, also my computer, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. I can't wait. It'll have storage behind it, but it's not done yet. Originally, we were going to do dual mini splits, dual head unit mini splits that were also heat pumps, and we since decided that when it's hot, we move. We have that luxury. I work online, so we might as well do that. So now I'm just now, almost 2 years later, getting ready to build out what we call our top bulkheads. I don't know if they have a real name. I am a freight broker. I ship freight for a living. I have customers that need to move freight or need trucks. I work for a very large company that does those kinds of things. So we are able to work with our assets along with other companies' assets and get them a discount for their freight. We handle all of that job for them if they want us to. So it takes that workload off of them, and plus gives us work. They get a cheaper rate than if they were just to get those prices straight from those companies that we use, and we're able to make some money off of that, and they're able to ship at a discount and not have to do the work. If you're looking to get into that kind of thing, there are some great opportunities out there. You can find them in all the usual places and look at their reviews. Usually start in an office. You have to be very lucky to get into an outside position that is good. There are plenty of outside positions. Some are good, some aren't as great. They all give you freedom if you do it right, so it is well worth it if you don't mind. It's not easy work, but you put a couple years into an office and then you know what you're doing, and then you can move out. There's also, you can take classes for being a freight broker. There's companies that do that kind of thing too. I can't really say if they're good or not because I don't know anybody that's ever used them. I only know people that have worked in an office and then either done their own thing or joined another company that they were able to go outside. When we were building the bus, we needed a place for electronics. I worked at this job then, knew I needed a place for all of that stuff. So we built these two cubbies, both this one and this one, that have storage down below. They have power built into the back of them, 12-volt USBs, USBs here, and then of course, 110s. And they're a nightmare. I absolutely hate them. I love that they're storage, but they've never been finished. They're supposed to have tops and faces on them, and I was going to build full charging stations and maybe some cup holders, that kind of thing, and just haven't gotten around to it. We've had some mechanical issues and a few breakdowns that have caused us to not pass that 90% mark finished, and we're looking at getting those done hopefully this summer. If we quit screwing around and traveling, that gets in the way a lot too.
Okay, so Jessy has two older daughters who come and stay with us occasionally. One's in college, one's in high school, so we knew that we wanted a couch that turned into a bed. And a lot of people do the slats. We did ours a little bit differently. This whole piece pulls out, and then there's pieces that flip up and set on this piece here. So this turns into a twin bed. We also needed a place to store our solar components. So in this box here, we have our DC fuse box, our AC fuse box, and charge controller, and everything is stored in this back area. I'm very happy with the location of it. I think it's a clever use of space. It keeps everything out of the way so that it's not all over the place. Initially, like Jessy said, we wanted to run 2 air conditioning units at each bulkhead. So in order to do that, I had to get a bunch of solar. I actually purchased 22 panels at auction. Each solar panel is 285 watts. We ended up keeping 8 of them and selling the others, which was great. It essentially made our cost free. But so there's 8 285 watt panels on the roof. It would have been more than enough to run an air conditioning, but like Jessy said, we kind of changed our mind on that. So we are slightly overpowered for a normal sunny day. That being said, we have enough panels and wattage on top that we can go through a couple of cloudy days without worrying whatsoever about our battery life. The batteries are 325 amp hours each. We have 4 of them hooked together in parallel in series. That gives us roughly 650 usable amp hours, of which we barely tap into 10% of that every day. And then on this side, these also open up. This side also opens up, and we keep our sand blankets and our umbrellas and paperwork underneath, and just really anything that we don't access too often. So initially, when building the bus, we discussed putting the batteries inside. I wasn't comfortable with having that much power located within the bus. So they are actually located outside of the bus in a belly box. And this is our second round of cushions. The first ones we made, it was just one big cushion. You couldn't remove the fabric, you couldn't wash it. And when you have teenagers and kids sitting on it and sand and dirt, it just got really grimy. So I actually remade these so that all of the covers can come off and be thrown in the washer. Going from a house to a bus, we thought we needed a ton of storage. So there is actually storage underneath both sides of the couch and in the back on both sides of the couch. We don't really even use the storage under here. It's got a few pieces of paper in it. It just ended up being too much storage, so it's a little empty. When we were looking at building a bus, we really liked that the buses looked like school buses. So a lot of people choose to cover their windows, which does make more sense for insulation and privacy. We wanted to keep the good classic school bus look, so we kept all of the windows. And although it doesn't do great at keeping the heat or the cold out, it's fantastic. It lets all the light in. We get to see 360-degree views of the country, and we absolutely love being able to drop them on a warm day and feel a nice cool breeze. We don't regret that decision at all. Everything in this bus is built by us. That included the couch, that includes the bed frame. The one thing that we didn't want to build was a kitchen. We didn't want to build cabinets. So the entire kitchen came from Ikea. We have these huge deep drawers that have top-loading drawers. They're nice soft close. If I had to do one thing differently, actually, I would permanently seal the butcher block countertop rather than oil it regularly. That can be kind of a chore, but it's gorgeous and very durable, and we love it. It did come from Ikea, and like Jessy said, the cutout for the sink that we did ourselves turned into the table later on. It was very nerve-wracking cutting the countertops, but it turned out, I think it's my favorite thing in the bus. With the Ikea cabinetry, they don't come with kickboards. So Jessy built 5-inch kickboards, and we are able to actually store some of our dry goods in baskets that we slide out from underneath. And then in here we have some of our heavier items, pots and pans and Tupperware. Up here are mostly cups, little kitchen gadgets, toothbrushes. And then in this top one is all of our cutlery. This drawer is snacks and more food. This drawer is your Ziploc bags, a couple of cookbooks, and just towels. There's a little section right here that's all for dog stuff. We have the traditional junk drawer that every household needs. That one is baking pans and leftover Easter goodies. Then this one is all of my baking goods, and this is all of my spices, and then yet another junk drawer. Junk drawers are great. Everybody has junk. The first time we drove the bus, all of the drawers flew open. We then learned very quickly that we needed a locking system. So these are actually magnetic kid locks. You just flip this little piece here and it catches on another little piece inside and locks the drawer. What we didn't know is that our drawers are heavy enough that they can actually just push those kid locks. So we went to a high-class, fancier system. We now use shower curtain rods. Slip them in, just like that, and that's how it keeps everything closed. So the stove we hand-picked out of an RV that had caught fire. It was in almost brand new condition, and it's just propane. We never connected the igniter, so we ignite it with a lighter. It's very well loved and used, as you can see. It has 4 burners and an oven. It is honestly our favorite stove we've had, be it in a bus or in a home. It cooks very evenly, it boils water very quickly. It's just a very hot flame, so you can throw stuff together really easily. We gave it a little vent back here that also turns into a knife holder so that some of the heat can escape the back of the stove. Just everything has dual purpose. When we first set out, I had a fruit basket on the counter, and you can tell that the fruit just rotted in a basket, and I did a lot of research on actually what's the best way to store your fruits and veggies. This, I believe, is like a Norwegian style where you hang them with as much air surrounding them as possible. So we got these little baskets on Amazon, and they have been great. Our food lasts much longer. We're no longer dripping, fruit juice all over the countertop, and I think it's pretty. When we were building the bus, we wanted to try and save as much money as possible. Like I said, I bought the solar panels at auction. I also bought the sink and the faucet at auction. The sink had a little ding in the corner that we were able to snap back into place pretty easily. The faucet was brand new. It just had been returned for some reason. So this whole setup here, I believe, was like the total of $100. I was apprehensive about putting a sink in this big, but it has been such a blessing. The succulents go in the sink when we drive. Jonah can take sink baths in here, and he loves it. We turn Jesse's computer screen around. He can watch cartoons and relax in his sauna, basically. And it's been pretty great. I wouldn't change that. And the storage, when you're driving, I don't have to permanently affix my plants. I just put them in the sink when I drive, which allows me to be able to switch them up. And that's pretty important to me. I really wanted greenery in the bus. I wanted it to feel like a home. So as you can see, I have a little bit of a succulent problem. We did without curtains for quite some time. We would just try and clip or magnet something over whatever window we were trying to cover. So I was really excited to find this track system, and it's kind of like an Airstream style curtain track. It's very low profile. I sewed all of these curtains myself. They're not very insulating, but they definitely give you privacy, and they keep a lot of light out at night. I think you can find those on curtaintracks.com. It took me all of a day to make curtains for the whole bus, so it was very easy. This is actual siding, like house siding, that was cheap, easy to work with. It's painted with tractor paint, so it's virtually indestructible, and it works wonders to cover all of our wiring for our lights that are up here. So initially we didn't know what material we wanted to use for the ceiling, so we weren't able to do the lights until we chose the material. So we decided to go with the LED strip lights, because we could put those in before we chose our ceiling material. And we shopped around for, I'd say, a good year before we found these antique style ceiling tiles. They're actually foam, so they have a little bit of an insulation factor, but it was something we hadn't seen before. It was super unique, and we really liked the way that they looked. We found them at antiqueceilingtiles.com, I believe. In addition to those LED strip lights, we also have these Ikea lights that are up underneath the wire chase. We have one that illuminates the sink, one that illuminates the stove, and one that illuminates the dining table. We found those at Ikea. Fun fact, Ikea lighting is wired for 24 volt, which made it very easy for us to wire because our entire system is 24 volt. So we didn't have to step down to 12 volt, which was really convenient. Between the LED strip lights and the added lights that are underneath the chase, it can get very bright in here. I wouldn't do just LED strip lights. I don't think it gives quite enough light. But between the two, you can kind of choose what atmosphere you want. Do you want it nice and mellow with some blue lighting, or do you need it bright so you can work on schoolwork or something? So the fridge is just a Magic Chef apartment size fridge. I believe it's 7.2 cubic feet. It's not quite the same size as what you would see in a house, but it's definitely bigger than what you would see in a regular RV. It is ran completely off of solar, so there's no propane component. It seems to have been perfectly adequate for us. Every now and again I get it a little too full, but it's a good time to eat the leftovers at that point. Unfortunately, we did not plan a pantry, so this is served as part of our pantry for bread, crackers, tortillas, just like the quick things that you grab. And then we also have an extra basket up here that is filled with other pantry items. So our pantry is kind of scattered about the kitchen, but the kitchen is so big that it doesn't really matter. We've both gotten quite used to it. So the kitchen, we put a lot of thought into. We have the whole triangle of reachability. We love cooking in here. I do most of the cooking. I feel like I'm actually in a bigger kitchen most of the time. And it's easy to keep clean. It's just total functionality. This is actually wallpaper. Since we are Bricks of Happiness, we wanted to incorporate some sort of brick into it. This is round 2 of the wallpaper. The first round, I tried using spray adhesive. That was a fail. It flapped around, fell out the window. And this is round 2. So what I used was Mod Podge, and I slathered it on, put the wallpaper up, and it's been up for a while. And it's actually great because it's vinyl wallpaper, so you can still clean it.
Moving back from the kitchen now, this is the hallway, a couple bunks, some storage. As you can see, I'm a little wide, and we made this as skinny as we possibly could so that the bunks on this side and the bathroom on this side were as big as they could possibly be, so that the kids had as much room as they could, because that's their only space inside to themselves, and so that when you're taking a shower, you're not like this. I'd rather be a little sideways or like this in a hallway than like that in the shower. This is our hot water heater. It's an instant hot water heater, EcoTemp i12 liquid propane. It's designed for low flow. A lot of people have problems with putting instants in their vehicles and RVs because a lot of them aren't made for low flow. So this thing will run, the book says that it runs on a lot less gallons per minute than it actually will, but it works great for us. It also doubles as kind of a black mirror. This hallway piece, we didn't know exactly how or what we wanted. We just knew we wanted storage. So just built this kind of cubby box that has worked out really well, that we haven't reworked. Lily found some pretty poplar wood that she did the faces with, and then, you know, we each have our cubbies. I have a cubby up here for just its bathroom stuff and, you know, essentials, dental floss and your combs and stuff like that. So I have one, Lily has one, Lily has 3, and then there's one for towels. Right here is our bathroom. This is also part of the reason we're only 90% done. When we first built our bus, we were in a hurry to get on the road. My dad was really sick and we needed to go. Everything in here is functional, but we weren't using it because we didn't know how we wanted to finish it. Initially, we built our own, or Lily did actually, built our own composting toilet, which worked great, but she decided that she wanted to change from there and go to an airhead versus the Nature's Head. It has a toilet seat, same functions, works great. We absolutely love it. I thought the other one worked fine, but cleaning wasn't as easy, and everything was, you know, wood and, you know, built that kind of way, so it was porous, and it just wasn't great after a while, so we decided to move on from it. Even though it was painted in tractor paint and sealed as good as it could be, it just doesn't last, it seems. So have the airhead, happy with that. We didn't know how we wanted to finish the bathroom. The bathroom floor is dropped 6 inches so that tall people can still shower up against the curve without having to worry about running into things. But we didn't know what we wanted to do for walls and ceiling and making it watertight. We have since decided what we wanted to do. We're going to do cedar plank up top, and then down below is going to be black river rock tile, and then the floor is almost like a sauna teak floor, because our emergency door is right there. It opens up. The shower head is going to have the ability to go on the door as well, and then the whole shower floor along with this riser piece that's in here will be able to go outside. So you can wash dogs outside, you can shower outside, you can rinse things off and then come in the bus that way, so you're not getting things dirty. essential with kids and teenagers. So hopefully this summer we can finish it. Last summer we went to get the supplies to finish it and the bus wouldn't start. We spent 3 months making sure that we could get fixed and get out of the cold so that we didn't freeze to death because we didn't have a wood stove then. Now we do. We're gonna finish it this summer and Lily will be super happy to have a functional bathroom and shower. Currently, when we're on the road, it actually hasn't been nearly as much of an inconvenience as we thought it would. Truck stops, state parks, RV parks, you name them. I mean, we have to stop and drain and fill, and sometimes, you know, just take a day or two to be parked somewhere easy without having to worry about moving or needing anything. And so we find ourselves, you know, stopping in places frequently anyway. So it works out, grab a shower, do the tanks, that kind of thing, rest for a day, and then move on. So that's been our plan in the meantime. Otherwise, you can put up curtains and still make it work. Our sink will also go out the window conveniently. We didn't plan it that way, but it worked. So you can, you know, get a quick pits and ditch in that way. When we first built the bus, we know we wanted bunks. I have a daughter that is now in high school. She was in junior high when we first built the bus, and we have Jonah, so I built 2 bunks. My oldest daughter is in college. She gets the couch whenever she visits. At first, for the first year, these were just open bunks. This is the only thing in my bus that was 2x4 framed. Everything else is 3/4 inch that's just reinforced, and everything's plenty strong. But I wanted to do 2x4s here because I wanted to be able to rebuild it and change it. So I have a solid frame around it and the floor in here. When this daughter is, you know, in college or older high school and doesn't want to be with us as much, then that will turn into Jonah's area and I'll rebuild this whole thing. But currently 2 bunks. Again, my daughter Bren is not with us all the time, so when she's not with us, it turns into storage. I have the stove pieces in here because it pipes out the window, and we haven't finished that part of the install on it. We're actually getting with Teeny Wood Stove to do so. So that stuff's in here, extra computer, some fans, pillows, laundry basket, all that stuff hangs out in this bunk. And then when she comes, we rearrange things a little more tightly so that everybody fits. This is Jonah's bunk. He loves it. He actually doesn't sleep in it a whole lot because we have a whole another area that we call the loft or the study or whatever you want to call it. It's actually our rear engine cover, which I'll show you in a few minutes. But this is for when he gets a little bigger. We're actually, when he turns 5 coming up here in a month or so, we're going to move him into here full time. But he loves to play in here currently. So let me get these emptied out and I'll show you what they look like when they're being used. So both bunks, obviously we hand cut. It's just 3/4 inch plywood that I took a pencil and a jigsaw to and made a little turtle and a little raindrop. This kind of opens up. My daughter thought it was so cool and that it was for her, but it's actually so I can stick my face in there and yell for her to wake up, and so I can reach her light and just click it on her and she doesn't have a choice. They both look exactly the same. They have the same attributes except for this one has a little bit more of a wall. They both have the ability to have a curtain up. Jonah's got little jungle ropes and stuff hanging up, so he loves to swing on them, and that's how he pulls himself in, especially when he was littler. They both have LED track lighting in them that are on a little touchpad, so they can change the colors and play with presets and stuff. I didn't want them to have a remote that they were going to lose. And then there's a reading light that's just on a little toggle switch. So cool area to hang out. This is just a little storage bin for Jonah. I'm actually toying with the idea. Initially I was going to build this in right here and make a toy garage for him and book storage, and then this would all be closed storage for him. But with breakdowns and, you know, other stuff, we haven't even finished the bathroom. How can I add stuff? Underneath is all storage. These handy totes, again, from Ikea. So one for shirts, one for pants, one for miscellaneous stuff, and one for shoes. Then I think there's one with like books and games and stuff, or a different basket. This is the palace where the magic never happens because we're always so tired from traveling. Zenith mattresses. The best mattress we've ever had. We've actually had 2 of them. We actually cut a couple up to make the bunk mattresses along with our cushions. Everything in here is out of the same thing. They're cheap, they're online, they deliver for free. It's not a plug for them. They don't pay us. They're just incredible. So I absolutely love it. King size bed. Made it so that we can lift it up. Have to give my stepfather credit for that. He's the one that figured it all out because they don't make a kit for a king size bed to lift that way, the way that our design is, but it works perfectly. We both have a big storage box underneath for seasonal clothes, extra objects. Obviously this is Mari's apartment. She would like to know why I lifted her roof. And then paddle board. Obviously there's some extra insulation back there, wet dry bag for stuff, you know, just all the stuff you don't normally need. Lily's sewing machines under there, a bunch of fabric. We probably make you a whole new set of curtains and blankets for your bus, who knows. she can squirrel some stuff. We love it back here when it's you know, rainy day and pelting down on the roof, and we'll all pile in. I mean, even if my girls are with us, we can all hang out in here, watch a movie, be comfortable. Everybody has their own space. Back there, we're a rear engine bus, so that's what we call our loft or our study. It's the engine cover. Lilly upholstered some thin cushions for it, and that's where we stored all of our extra blankets, all kinds of stuff to begin with. And then Jonah decided that he wanted to hang out back there all the time. And so that's kind of been his bed while he's little. You know, like I said, when he turns 5, we're going to move him into his bunk full time, but for now we let him hang out back there, and he really loves it. It's a cool little spot, and he's close to us, so no matter where we are, we know he's safe and not trying to wander out of the bus or something. Not that he does, but Lily's closet isn't the best design. Initially, when we first left, neither one of us had a closet. We had the underneath storage, and we had our suitcases that we had clothes in and stuff that we stored in the bunk. Since then, Lilly made some little shelf drawer type things. They're not the best storage. We'll probably rebuild that soon, but it works currently. I have since built a little dresser area that stuff likes to fall out of. I need to add probably some bungees or something to help keep things in, but currently whatever, before we move, I just grab what I know is going to fall out and set it on the bed, and everything rides here just fine. One of the best parts of our bedroom and our entire bus is that we couldn't keep both hatches, but we kept one, and it's right here. It opens up onto our rooftop deck that we have some nice fake turf on, and we'll go hang out up there and watch the stars and satellites go over. Jonah will fall asleep up there, and then we'll pass him down here and let him go to sleep. It's one of the most amazing things you could ever have on a vehicle, and I highly recommend it. Yeah, getting in and out, Lily's a little bit short, so we have a stool that we'll put on the bed, and she'll hop up on that. I have enough that I can just lift myself up and butt scoot onto it and then pop up on top. We also have a Wii Boost. I have it up there on like a 5-foot pole that rotates up. So normally it's down all the time, but if I need it, I can pop it up and get that extra elevation so I can get some good service, because if I don't have service, I can't work. We found these fans online at Amazon. They are amazing. They fit right into a bus window with just a little clip, and that's probably one of the easiest ventilation additions we could have ever done. Moving back from the inside to the outside of the bus and all its wonderful outside features, we'll go over the solar batteries, the awning and where we got that, and I'll actually let Lilly take care of that because she's very proud of her handiwork.
So when we were shopping for a bus, we found our engine and transmission combo, but the bus that we fell in love with didn't have any belly storage. And like I said before, I didn't want batteries inside the bus. So all of these belly boxes, our friend who is a fabricator made for us, and they're caged. We were able to use the old ceiling to make a floor in the battery box, which gives it some airflow. It doesn't get too hot in there. These are our lovely batteries that give us all of our power. It's about 600 pounds of weight on this side, so we counterbalanced it with our 70-gallon freshwater tank on the other side. The awning came from the same burnt RV as the stove did. So we took this awning off. It was originally like $800. I think we paid $120 for it. It comes with a wind sensor system, but we never hooked that part up. It is automatic, so it's just controlled with a button inside the bus. Comes all the way out and provides tons of extra shade on a warm day. We use the awning all the time. Even on breezy days like this, it still holds its own. And these parts can actually be disconnected and staked into the ground, so it's just one flat roof. So each one of these belly boxes is reinforced with, I believe, 2x1 steel, and they serve as storage for all sorts of things. We have sand toys in here, kites and barbecue equipment in that one. This big one is for a very large, I believe, 100-gallon propane tank. That came from the same RV as the awning. It is probably a little too big for our needs. We fill it up maybe halfway once a year, but we weren't sure how to size it. So there it lives.
Again, our bus is a 1999 International Amtran. It has a DT466E, which means it's electronic, and has an Allison MD 3060 transmission. We bought this bus setup strategically for how the engine bay is, and I am glad that I have, because I have spent, I don't even know how many hours tucked in here working on it. This lifts up. Panels like this lift up on both sides so you can actually get into the engine. I've worked on it in the snow and sleet and hail when it was just absolutely nasty outside, and inside was bearable so that I could get my bus back on the road. I've spent a few months in there. So highly recommend that when you're shopping for whatever your vehicle might be, make sure that you shop this part of it as well. Not just what you want to build out of it, but the maintenance aspects, and being able to get to things is very important, because if you're trying to save a dime and want to do it yourself, you're going to want to be able to get to everything. And it serves as extra storage. Some extra oil. Our the beach big cart is in there that we take down to the beach. It has the big tires that's in the way everywhere else. And we found some firewood at the bus fair, so we threw that in there. We weren't going to let it go to waste. So that's that. And these doors are on both sides, so you can get in on both sides of the engine. It's awesome. We decided that we needed a tow vehicle. We had a 2010 Ford Flex at the time. You can't flat tow one of those. I didn't want a car dolly. I didn't want a trailer. I wanted something that I could tow and just unhook. There's half a dozen decent options for that. We decided to go with the Jeep because it's a Jeep, and you can go out and play and have fun and four-wheel, and it'll go anywhere we need it to. Plus, as you can tell, we like to ride bikes. We have a couple of fat bikes. Obviously you can mount those on anything, but we can ride further out and then ride them further out from there. It's amazing. It takes 5 minutes to set it up. We have the Brake Buddy Stealth braking system, which is all stashed away inside the Jeep. It's one cord that plugs into the bus and the Jeep. You hook up the tow hitch and you're on the road. It's quick. Literally under 5 minutes to hook and unhook, no problem. Initially, I had a whole design for the rack and how I wanted it to be. My buddy was going to make it for me. We were going to do it all out of nice lightweight aluminum. And then I found this guy on Facebook Marketplace for 40 bucks. And done. It was off of an E350 van, like a river rafting trip kind of thing. We actually had to cut it down because it was too long, whacked 15 inches off of it, put new mounts on it, mounted it to the roof. It's amazing. The only thing I would change is it's not as wide as I would like it to be. I wish that it was a little bit wider. Even though there's plenty of room, I mean, you can always use more.